Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to another live lawn care Q&A. My name is Ron Henry, and I am here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. We are super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you will see a chat box. In that chat box, you can enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not, but either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care. So guys, as always, we're coming to you guys live on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and our primary platform, which is YouTube. So again, if you guys, you can feel free to tune in the way that you prefer, and look forward to seeing all the questions that you guys have for me this evening. It's been a cold past few days, right? Been a cold past few days, but you know, it's got to get cold before it gets warmer, I suppose. And we have a bit more cold weather ahead of us, but then it should start warming up pretty nicely, and it's you know, we'll be able to kick the season off here pretty shortly. So let's see what we have here in the live stream this evening. We have Dan Lynch in the house. He has a question. Jason Harrison, a few other folks. We can start off with Dan Lynch. This is a good question. He says, what is the lowest temperature you would recommend spraying the Celsius and Certainty combination? Great question, Dan. The lowest that I've sprayed Celsius and Certainty was in the upper 40s. So in the upper 40s, whenever I was doing a cleanup on my neighbor's lawn where they had some POA and some broadleafs in their lawn, in the upper 40s, I've sprayed Celsius and Certainty, and I got great results with it. You might be able to spray in the low 40s. I've just never done it to be able to know how well it would perform. What I would imagine, as is typical with most herbicides, is that as temperatures go down, they tend to work slower and slower. But in the upper 40s, there's really no issue with Celsius and Certainty whatsoever. Again, cooler temperatures, they tend to work slower, but you still get the results. So hope that helps, sir. If you need anything else, definitely let me know. Great question. And again, when you're, the thing you have to keep in mind too, when it comes to that combination, If all you have, because those herbicides are not inexpensive, right? If all you're dealing with is Poanua in your lawn, then just use Certainty. Like save the money, save Celsius for when you have some broadleaf breakthrough or summertime when you got spurge and dandelions and that kind of things you have to take care of in your lawn. So I mean, just because that those two herbicides can be mixed and sprayed at the same time without issue, really, you really only want to or need to do that if you are dealing with both broadleaves. So say you have some clover, some henbit in your lawn, and you've also got Poanua. That's a perfect situation where using Celsius and Certainty together makes a lot of sense. But if all you're trying to take care of is, say, Poanua, then set the Celsius to the side, mix up some Certainty. And again, I've covered this on previous live streams. When it comes to using Certainty, which is this guy, which is a warm season herbicide. So cool season guys, you don't get to use this. This is only for warm season folks. We get to have all the fun when it comes to taking care of POA. So if you have a warm season lawn and you're trying to target Poanua, the rate that you have to use for Certainty is quite a bit higher than what you would use if you are targeting, say, sedges or Kalinga in the spring and summer months. So the easy way to remember this is the minimum rate for when you're targeting POA with Certainty is 1.25 ounces per acre. And you're kind of thinking to yourself, well, I don't have an acre on, so what does that really equate to in residential lawn speak? And fortunately, the folks at New Farm made it really pretty easy for us in the sense that they include a measuring spoon, right? So with this spoon, there's two ends. There's the big end and there's a small end. Big end, small end. So when you're targeting Poanua, what I have found, so one of the big scoops is equivalent to 1.25 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So that's the minimum, the low end. What I found though is that while that can work against POA, in my testing, it just tends to injure it a little bit. It gets discolored, but it doesn't really take it out. So what I go with and what I recommend is if you're trying to target Poanua this time of year with Certainty, is to go with one large scoop and then one or two of the small scoops. Again, remember the range for targeting POA with this herbicide is between 1.25 ounces per acre all the way up to 2 ounces per acre. So by going with one large scoop and then one or two of the small per 1,000 square feet, you're getting in more to that middle range, which is going to get you a better result. So through my testing, that performs a lot better than just using a single large scoop of the product. So hope that helps, Dan. Great question. I like where you're going. Sorry you're dealing with weeds. Hopefully it's nothing too bad, but you've got the combination to take care of it, man. Celsius and Certainty is no joke. And the nice thing about that, you didn't ask this, but the one of the reasons why we talk about and recommend that combination so much for warm season turf is one, the biggest thing is you can use it over a broad temperature range. So you can use it when temps are in the 40s. And then during the summer months, you can also use Celsius and Certainty with minimal injury, with a little chance of injuring your grass as long as you're sensible with how much surfactant you use with the product. So that's the nice thing about that combo. Celsius kills a ton of weeds. As far as broadleaf weeds, it's like I think on the label they say annual as far as broadleaf control for warm season turf, it's hard to get much better than Celsius. And then Certainty kind of fills in where Celsius isn't that great. So for control against Kalinga and nutsedge, that's where Certainty really shines. So if you guys are wondering what Dan is talking about, I think he already has it. But for those of you guys that don't know what he's talking about and are interested in saying, hey, what does the Celsius Certainty thing that he's referring to? We actually make a kit on Golf Course Lawn Store. If you go to shop and then weed killer, the very first thing, because we're that proud of it, is the Celsius Certainty herbicide kit. And in that you get Celsius, so it's enough Celsius for 2 acres, enough Certainty for 1 acre, and then surfactant and marker dye. So it gives you everything you need to be able to get a great result with controlling weeds in your warm season lawn. So yeah, great question, Dan. Again, if you have any other questions, let me know. Good stuff. Kicking it off with a good question, Dan. I like it. All right, next up. We have Jason Harrison in the house. So Jason, I think your comments came in here out of order. He says, I'm seeing 5 days of what will likely be 50-degree average soil temps just prior to February, but then it drops back down. Drop the pre-emergent or wait for it to be consistently at the germination temps. So that's a good question, Jason. And then you said here, I like to get a little done each month to prep for April, deciding if I should continue to bring the height of cut down. Oh, you're talking about scalping. Okay, so the question about pre-emergent, So I will tell you this. So my plan is in the first part of February to put out my pre-emergent. In my neighborhood, there's already like from multiple lawn care companies. So it's not like just one company that's doing this. Multiple lawn care companies are already out spraying pre-emergent. Like one of the guys was up, not on my street, but up the street, and I was leaving the neighborhood, and I said, "What you spraying?" And I kind of already knew because he had the hose with the shower head nozzle, which is pretty much what they use for pre-emergent sprays. So what you spraying? I said, "Prodiamine." He says, "Yep, that's what we're putting out. We're getting our prodiamine out." I said, "Okay, cool." And I just drove off, and away you go. So the pros, the people that spray lawns for a living, whose job it is to keep weeds out of the customers' lawns, are already putting out their pre-emergent here in Northeast Georgia. If you want to wait until, I mean, doing it now if you wanted to, sure, fine. But I mean, you could really wait until February, and which is what I plan to do. The first part of February, before February 15th, I will have my my pre-emergent out. Keep in mind, though, Jason, when it comes to how I do it, I spray at the higher rates. I only spray once. I don't do the split app thing. I mean, you can do that, but I only spray once at the higher rate for my grass type, which is Bermuda, and that works out to 0.80 ounces, dry ounces per 1,000 square feet, and I get a great result with that. I don't have a lot of breakthrough as far as weeds during the spring and summer months, and even with chloration and top dressing, which are some activities that can disturb that barrier a little bit, I still don't really have a lot of issues with weeds coming into my lawn following that strategy. So play with it, decide which way you want to go. On that topic, you gave me a great segue, guys. So here in the last past week, I've updated the calendar for the Golf Course Lawn Academy members. So that's the calendar. If you're part of our paid course, which is the Golf Course Lawn Academy, every year I update the calendar and I make adjustments based on lessons learned and things that I think are going to help you get a better result as far as your lawn care program. So what we figured as well, though, we don't want the folks that are not in the academy to feel left out. So while this calendar isn't as detailed as what is in the course, there's still a lot of value in it. So I'll show you here. This is the free calendar that any of you guys can use. If you go to the Golf Course Lawn store, so golfcourselawn.store or golfcourselawn.com, your choice, go to resources and go to lawn care schedule. Right, so hit that. So here's our 365-day timeline. This was a beast to write, but the thing that you guys really care about from a calendar standpoint is item 5 in the menu. So you hit that, and this has been updated for this year, and I can walk through it with you guys really quickly. So it starts in February, starts next month, and then it goes all the way through November. So we'll just start with just the parts you guys care about. So this is an optional area, and this is really for folks that have warm season grass, right? So if you have a cool season lawn, ignore this. Cool season lawn, if you guys are up north, you guys are still going to be covered in snow in February. So really, it's difficult to make a schedule unless I do 2 separate ones for cool season and warm season turf. So I assume you guys are smart enough to read this and then adjust accordingly based on where you are. But if you are here in Georgia, Southeast United States, an optional thing is to do a pre-scalp of your lawn. So what is a pre-scalp? It's what Jason is talking about right here, right? Where he says in his comment how he likes to get a little bit done each month in prep for April, deciding whether I should continue to bring the high to cut down or if I should hit the power rake hard in early February. Thoughts? And then he has some other comments. And Jason is in North Carolina, so he's similar to me, maybe a little bit cooler temperatures than where I am. But he's bringing his high to cut down over time, which is what I like to do in preparation for the beginning of the season. So an optional item, the very first one is to do a pre-scalp. And if you wonder about scalping, like the benefits of doing it, what grasses you should scalp and not scalp, there's a blog post that's linked here that you can check out that talks about should you scalp your lawn in the early spring, and talks about when it should be scalped, what types of grass can be scalped, what types of grass you really should avoid scalping, what height of cut to go with, all that fun jazz. All right. So if we go back to our yearly calendar, the next thing in February for next month is to do a soil test. Now, the reason why I do I list the soil test prior to putting out pre-emergent is that if some of you guys like to use granular pre-emergent products, so like a weed and feed, so like a 007 that has a bit of potassium in it. And the idea behind doing the soil test prior to putting out a granular pre-emergent, which most of those tend to have some fertilizer, some nutrient in them, is you don't want to go and put out like say a 007 prodiamine and then the next day or a day or two later go out and pull cores for your soil test, because it could skew the results. So that's why We recommend doing the soil test before you put out a granular pre-emergent. If you're doing liquid, it doesn't really matter the order. You can mix and match as you so please. But get your soil test done. Reason being is that the results from that will drive all the rest of this stuff. So as far as knowing what fertilizer is the best fit for your particular lawn, because every soil is different, a soil test is literally one of the best investments from a standpoint of like $30 you're going to spend that you can make in your lawn care program. So do a soil test and then get your pre-emergent out. And this is where I give guidance that really will work anywhere in the country. So before the average 5-day soil temps reach 55 degrees, apply your spring pre-emergent. I recommend prodiamine or dithiopyr, and then you can move on with your primary scalp. Begin feeding the lawn, carbon kit, essential G, and then we're off to the races. Tons of mowing, tons of fun, tons of domination. So where can you find this? I'll drop a link here in the chat for those of you that are on other platforms that aren't on YouTube that can't see me sharing my screen. So this is the lawn. Let's see. We'll say application calendar. We'll call it that. All right. So that was updated again for 2024. For those of you guys on Instagram, I'm not sure if it's going to be clickable for you, but you can take a look at that and enjoy that. It is free for you to use. For those of you that are not in the academy, we still want you guys to have awesome lawns too. So we put some time in updating some of the content to reflect some of the newer guidance. So hope you get some value out of that. All right, moving on to our next question. We got Tom Hoffenkamp saying, happy Friday, everybody. What's going on, Tom? Hopefully you are doing well. And then he says, the state of California is very annoying and wants a special label for everything. That's true. I mean, pretty much all the fun stuff, lawn care stuff, firearms. I mean, California is not a place to have a lot of fun, unfortunately, for a lot of things. But you guys have good weather, right? So I guess there's that. There's that benefit. And let me see. The next up we have King Khan. He says, this lawn looks like a page in a coloring book that someone started but did not finish. Yeah, so I believe he's in the live stream already. Actually, I do see him here. Robert Rainey's here. So in the Golf Course Lawn Academy Facebook group, it's a private Facebook group that's part of our paid courses you get access to. He posted this picture. I was thinking about a picture for this week for the thumbnail, and he posted this image. And I said, oh, that's got to be it. It's got to be it. So you can see the grass all around the Bermuda, all around his lawn, around his property is all frozen and hating life and dormant and just waiting and wishing for warmer days. But you can see that ryegrass overseed is as green as all get out, right? So I was like, man, I got to use this as a thumbnail for this week because it'll resonate with a lot of folks. So King Khan, even though it looks like a page out of a coloring book, this is Robert Rainey we're talking about here. This man, this is not painted grass, is none of those tricks. This man did the hard work. He overseeded, has been keeping up with his mowing, and that's real. What you're seeing there, that is real grass. That's Bermuda overseeded with a ryegrass, right? And then you can see what the rest of the Bermuda looks like. So that's a real picture taken a couple of days ago, and yeah, it's really, really cool. But I do get what you're saying. I can see how someone could have the feeling that it looks like a coloring book. I can see the resemblance. All right, next up we got Jay Bear in the house. He says, "Brr, happy stream, everybody." It is. It's cold, man. It's been, I think 2 days ago, actually no, Tuesday, it got down to 13 degrees, which, I mean, I'm sure up north you guys are like 13. We'd love to have that, but in Georgia, that's really cold. Really, anything under 50 degrees in Georgia I consider cold, right? But 13 degrees is getting it, and thankfully that nonsense is gone. So now we just have nights in like the 20s, high 20s, low 30s. So it will pass. This too shall pass, and we'll be out there putting down pre-emergent and having fun in the lawn in due time. Robert Rainey says, "Good evening." What's going on, Robert? Thanks again. I already showed everyone the cool picture of your lawn, of your project, of the fruits of all your hard work. Next up, our next question is Mr. Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson. He says, "Ron, I plan to mow at 0.75 inches this summer." Great choice. I like that height of cut. "My rotary cuts down to 1 inch. I plan on using the rotary down to 1 inch and then mowing 0.75 inches with the Revolution 26. Should I go lower than 0.75 for the scalp? I don't want to dull it." I would go a little bit lower. So, don't get into the dirt, Stephen, but I would bring your height of cut, say 1/4 inch or so below where you intend to maintain the lawn. So if you're planning to maintain the lawn at 0.75 inches, I would bring the height of cut down to 1/2 inch, scalp it there. and then let the grass grow back in, and you'll be in good shape. That should not materially dull the mower, because you're not going to be getting into dirt. You're not, it's not going to be terribly abusive, especially since you are using the rotary to do most of the heavy lifting, and then you're just using the revolution to bring the height of cut down to just below where you want to maintain the lawn. Like, you could go to 5/8 if you wanted to, but I like a quarter of an inch below where you intend to maintain the lawn. So hope that helps. It's again, as long as you stay out of the dirt and you only cut grass, real mowers tend to hold their edge fairly well. You know what I mean? So, but I get it. You're getting the new baby, new equipment. You don't want to get out there and beat it up too badly and then have to send it in for a sharpening. But that really shouldn't be the case based on what you're describing. It's really for folks that are like, like 0.25. The folks that are like, they'll tell you, hey, I'm maintaining my Bermuda grass at like a quarter of an inch or 0.3 inches, which most of them really aren't, but they think they are. If you're trying to go that low across your entire lawn, like you're a glutton for punishment, like you got pain tattooed to your forehead. If that's what you're after, then in that case, yeah, you're more than likely going to get into the dirt as you're trying to clean the lawn out, and that's going to require a resharpen after you're done. So this is not like that's going to be your case. Just be sensible about it as you work down. And what you could do, Stephen, as well, if you want to be super cautious, right, is instead of going from 1 inch right down to half an inch, step it down a little bit. So go from like 1 inch to 3/4 of an inch, and because if you've never mowed at 3/4 of an inch before, you don't really know. I'm not sure if you've top dressed your lawn or not. You haven't told me that. But if you've not top dressed, you say 3/4 of an inch, but you never know if you might get close to getting into hitting dirt as you go lower. So what I would say is don't go from 1 inch to half an inch in one go. Go from 1 inch after the rotary's done with it, go down to 3/4. Make a pass over the lawn. You'll be able to see if there are any areas that are higher or lower, and you can decide, hey, do I want to take this down anymore? And that's going to that's a way to approach it that's going to minimize your chance of getting into the dirt, which is what's really going to dull that reel and bed knife quickly. So hope that helps. Congrats on getting the new mower. Once you get a picture of it, once you get it, send me a picture of it. We'll give you some dap. We'll clap it up, acknowledge your new toy, and it should be a good time. A lot of folks should be getting Revolutions here pretty soon. I know that that the folks at Real Rollers, they made some revisions that they wanted to get into the mower. So they're shipping the mowers. I don't know exactly. I'm not getting one, but I believe it's going to be in the next month or so. And that's, it's worth waiting for based on the things that Lee and the team there have showed me that they're doing. I think you guys are going to really like that piece of equipment once you get it. All right, next up, we have Aaron Pate. Aaron Pate is up next. He says, so I'm going to take your advice on the Spectacle Flow next year, but do you have any idea on the shelf life? An 18-ounce bottle will last me roughly years. It depends how you take care of it, Aaron. Some people say 3 years is where you want to be able to consume it within 3 years. And something that you can consider, another option, is if you have any friends or family that are also into taking care of their lawns, you can sell some of it. You can take that 18-ounce bottle and split it, and then then you'll go through it sooner if you're worried about freshness. But 3 years is what I would say. But it can, if you store it properly, if it's kept cool, then it can work for even longer than that. You know what I mean? The thing with my Spectacle Flow, what I do is I don't actually use I don't pour it out of this whenever I'm spraying the lawn. So I have I'll show you here. I don't have the actual bottle, but I have an old Acelepryn bottle, and you'll see nicely the folks at Syngenta have put a measuring cup on this guy, right? So from 0.10 fluid ounces all the way up to half a fluid ounce, which is really handy because the rate for Spectacle, if you're going like air quotes full rate or higher rate, is just under 0.2 fluid ounces per 1,000 square feet. So what I do is I have one of these in the garage. It's got like Spectacle. It's got SP written all over it. It's got Spectacle like all over. There's no mistaking that this is not a Acelepryn, that it's Spectacle Flow. And I've also like taped over all these, so there's no chance that I'm gonna assume that this is a Acelepryn instead of Spectacle. And so the main bottle that I have is I literally will fill this, and then this gets sealed and it's nice and tight, and it gets put away. And really, this bottle with 4 ounces in it is enough to do my lawn, Alex's lawn, the other neighbor that we work on his lawn as well. So really, my bottle of Spectacle Flow only gets opened a couple times a year, maybe, right? So that's going to help it and help it last a bit longer. So 3 years is what I would say on the low end, and if you take care of it, it can be even longer than that. And if you have a bottle of Primo, because you want a less expensive option, a bottle of Primo or a bottle of a Celiprin, they both have the same fluid ounce measurements, and you can repurpose one of these guys for measuring out your Spectacle Flow. So, but you won't regret it, man. Spectacle is an awesome product. Again, there's literally, when it comes to pre-emergent and warm season turf in the fall, in my opinion anyway, there's Spectacle and there's everything else, right? It's really that good, especially if your main concern is keeping Poa annua out of your lawn. Like, I've tested prodiamine by itself, dithiopyr by itself, prodiamine mixed with simazine and imazaquin, which is pretty good. It gets close to what Spectacle does, but it's still not as good. And it doesn't last as long, you know? So that's why I'd say, if you can afford it, take the plunge, split it with someone else, and enjoy a lot less weeds in your lawn. And you said in your case it would be 15 years. Yeah, I wouldn't keep it for that long. I would find someone that also needs some of it too, and make a deal with them. I wouldn't keep it for 15 years. And my property's a lot bigger, so I go through it. I mean, I don't know that bottle would last me 3 years between Alex and like the lawns that I help out with. So, all right. Next up, we have Stephen Thompson. He's back. He says, also, have you ever noticed swelling around your sprinkler heads during drought? I had swells this summer, and I'm curious if I have small leaks or if this is something that's common. I have not noticed that. Now, here's the thing. You said swelling around your sprinkler heads. So more than one sprinkler head is doing this. Not that I've noticed, Steven. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 sprinkler heads on the main lawn, and there's 6, I don't know, I can't count, like 8, like 6 to 8 in the back, and you can't tell where they are. I don't have any swelling, or I guess when you say swelling, you mean like the turf swelling or anything like that. I don't experience any of that. The only thing that that will happen from time to time with a sprinkler head is that it'll stick. That could happen. Like, I'll see one stuck up after running an irrigation cycle. But as far as swelling or anything like that, I have not experienced that. Keep in mind though, I've replaced all my sprinkler heads between last year and this year. They've all been this is 2023. Between 2022 and 2023, all the sprinkler heads in my lawn have been replaced. So, maybe that's part of it. But I've not experienced that. You said during drought. I mean, if you get an extreme drought, if the lawn begins to crack and dry out, like if that's a thing, maybe. But that doesn't happen on my lawn. I've not really had that. I've not experienced that to be able to say that it's really a thing. You know what I mean? So sorry, I'm not more help on that one. In my case, no, but I've not experienced a drought to the level that I might notice something like that. So check for leaks. But again, I kind of find it tough to believe, because especially if you use the plural, you said sprinkler heads and not just one of them, that across your entire property, like all the sprinkler heads are leaking. It could be just that just turf is really, really dry, and it's moving around and retreating, and that's causing some buckling. In other words, I would think it's more the drought than it is the head. And also, you think about it, that's a good point. Let me think about this more. If it's in extreme drought, where the sprinkler head is, there's not soil there, so the turf maybe moves a little bit differently around that plastic that's there versus how it would with soil, and maybe that's going to cause some buckling. But again, I've not experienced that myself to be able to say, yeah, that's what it is. But again, I would not lean towards a leak. I would lean more towards that it's a drought and there's a piece of plastic in the soil profile, and the soil around that is just moving differently than other parts of the lawn. That's what I would attribute it to without actually seeing it. All right, so we have a question here on Instagram. Let me see here. Not really lawn care related. D-Dom, he says, what kind of chair are you using? It's a Herman Miller chair. It's the it's one of their most common chairs. If you look up Herman Miller, it's starts with an A. Herman Aeron. The Aeron. Yeah, it's like their most common chair, and the chair does not come with this headrest. So I added a headrest after the fact. But the base chair is just the Herman Miller Aeron. Really comfortable chair. Beats the wood captain chair that I was sitting in for years. This is so much better. It's like anything else, almost like real mowing. You know, you don't realize how good your lawn can be till you start real mowing. You don't realize how uncomfortable a chair that you're in is until you get a good chair that actually fits you. So yeah, the Herman Miller Aeron is what I am sitting in. Really like it. It's a great chair. Great chair. Works great. Not inexpensive, but you can tend to find them pre-owned. So you know, if you're looking for a comfy chair, you can. It's super adjustable. Like I sit in front of a computer for a lot of the day. So it being supportive even when I'm leaning forward is kind of nice. So that's what I'm rocking, man. Herman Miller. Next up is Higgy Pop. Higgy Pop says, "Happy Friday, Ron. Have a great show." I'm gonna do my best, man. You know, all we can really talk about this time of year is belly aching and freezing. But here's the thing you have to say, right? That's kind of a good thing. This is like a void for the folks in Texas. Because normally, guys, you know, for the folks in Texas that are in the live stream, normally it's either too wet, like too much rain, or not enough rain. It's a drought time. Now it's just cold, right? It's a thing, and we're all experiencing the same thing at the same time. So it's kind of nice, you know what I mean? Like Texas isn't out doing its own thing as far as weather goes. It's kind of like experiencing the same thing as everybody else, which is kind of different for a change. Papa Low is up next. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron, and all. It's a chilly 36 now in Bama. Stay warm." Chilly, 36 is warm compared to some of the temps we've been having, right, Papa Low? It was 13 on Tuesday. 13 degrees on Tuesday, which is cold. That's cold. It's cold. All right, next up we have Aaron Pete. He is back. And he says, "So I just had a small tree cut down and stumped, and I am wondering if it's possible for my St. Augustine to spread over the area once summer gets here. What do you think?" I do. I think it will spread. Something you can consider doing as well, Aaron, is once like spring gets here, like say March, April, when your grass is beginning to start really growing and you're mowing it, consider transferring plugs into the area. So you said a small tree, so I don't manage it's too big a space, but if you want to speed up how quickly the area fills in, transfer plugs from parts of your lawn that are doing well into the area where the tree used to be, and that's going to fast track the process. And you're doing it exactly right. That's how I would do it if you are really particular about the lawn matching, like everything matching. Then plugging and just waiting for the existing grass to grow through is the way to go. Now, as far as the tool you would use for that, there's a tool called a Pro Plugger. I'm sure there's generic versions, but everyone talks about the Pro Plugger, and like the real, like the name brand version is really not that expensive. So you could always just go with that. But something like this is what you're going to want to use to transfer the plugs into from the parts of your lawn that are not doing so great to the parts of your lawn that are doing well. Yeah, like you search for Pro Plugger, you get all these. But this is an example of what you're after, right? One of these guys. So I'll send you a link to this in case you are so interested. And again, the time to do that is once we're past all this cold weather. When you're out regularly mowing, the lawn is, you're not going to get any hard freezes or anything like that. In other words, when conditions are such that the plugs that you transfer in there are really going to take off and spread is when I would do it. And in case you're interested, here you go, Aaron. This is your the link to the Pro Plugger tool. All right, good stuff. We have a super chat, guys, and it is from none other than Mr. Not Be Here to claim his prize. The one, the only LG is in the house.
Super chat received.
He says, "I'm sitting in a squeaky chair with a hunched back." I hear you, LG. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. And you know what? Because you are the first super chat of the evening, LG, you will have your name in lights, and I know what that means to you. So we're gonna do that. But get a good chair, man. If you sit down for any extended period of time, you wanna invest in a good chair, almost like bed, like a bed. Like don't buy a cheap bed, or a cheap mattress rather. Chairs, same kind of thing. If you're someone like me that works with technology, you're in front of a computer pretty much. When I'm not mowing grass, I'm sitting in front of a computer. So if you're one of those people, get a good chair. It's worth it because you're not, this chair will outlast me if I take care of it. You know what I mean? So they're great chairs. They hold up quite well. All right, we have another super chat. This one is from Mr. Luis Ayabareño. He's in the house. Thank you so much, Luis.
Super chat received.
He says, hey, y'all, compacted soil improved with aeration and soil conditioning. Imagine that. So you're telling me you aerated, you removed plugs from the soil, and that relieved the compaction? Say less. Is I plan on spring aeration for the first time with Essential G, application, liquids, and then another aeration in the fall. Thoughts on multiple aerations in the same season for cozies and grass? Thanks. I think it's a great idea. There's nothing wrong with it at all, Luis. If you can deal with it, like in other words, if you running an aerator over your lawn isn't too backbreaking for you, then yeah, it's no issue at all with doing that. It sounds like you're going to do one in the spring, one in the fall. No biggie at all. The only thing I'd say is that you didn't mention this, but if you're planning on doing any kind of top dressing work, I would do an aeration. I would aerate your lawn prior to top dressing. I'm a big fan of doing that. It helps the leveling material, whatever you happen to be using. If you're just using compost, it's still a good idea to do it. It helps whatever you're using to better integrate with the existing soil profile, which is why you see like golf courses do it, right? Like whenever you see them doing putting sand on a green, they just don't go on the green and just like spread sand on it. And aeration is part of the process. So if you're going to be doing it twice in the year, in the springtime, I imagine you're probably not going to top dress. But if that's your plan, you could just do your aeration just to kind of relieve some compaction in the spring. And then in the fall, if you decide you're going to top dress then you can get your soil aeration in. Again, thank you so much for the super chat.
Received.
I really do appreciate it. I tell you what, Luis, can we do this to make LG happy? I'm gonna have you and him share it for just a little while. We'll say just until the 8 o'clock hour, and then it will become only you. That way he won't, I mean, he's sensitive. He's sensitive like that. I don't think he's still quite over not being here to win after he made a big, hubbub about, oh, I never win, and world's not fair, this is all rigged and all this kind of stuff. And he's still sensitive. So we're gonna let you guys share the super chat or the show sponsorship for a little while, and then we'll make it just you. So again, thank you for the kind word, for the support, sir. Hopefully that helps. I think it's a great plan as far as multiple aerations. There's no issues with that at all. And for any of you guys that are interested in aerating your lawn and want to say, hey, how can I do this process and not mess my lawn up? Like what are some tips and tricks that I should know when it comes to core aeration? We have a blog post on that topic that is called, conveniently, How to Core Aerate Your Lawn. So I'll link this in the chat for you guys, but talks about what core aeration is, what's the best time to do it. There's a video here from a couple years ago that talks about, it shows a really good tip for making the process of aeration less work. Because what most people do whenever they aerate their lawn, right? They'll go out and they'll run an aerator. And let's just say, for argument's sake, the soil test kit is your lawn, right? So most people will go out there and they'll get an aerator and they'll go, lengthwise, and they'll pull the tines up and then flip it around and then go back this way and then back down and this way. They aerate their lawn like this, using the same technique that they use when they mow it, which in my opinion is less efficient, and it's a lot harder. You're making it a lot harder than it needs to be. Because all you're really trying to do is relieve compaction, it doesn't really matter if you go in a straight line or not. So what I like to do is, it's kind of hard to do this reversing, but just think like NASCAR, go fast, turn left. So what I like to do is do overlapping ovals. So say this is your entire lawn. You're going to start here and then go across the entire lawn and then make an oval and then come to the middle and then come up, and then we're going to go down a little bit lower because we've already aerated up here, and we're going to come down and then go a little bit lower. And then, so basically what you're doing is you're doing two overlapping ovals, and you just keep moving forward the entire time. And when you're done, pretty much all you have to do is like a trim pass around the entire property, but you're able to keep the aerator moving the entire time. It is far less work to do it this way. It's much, not as bad as, it makes it a lot easier than make a pass, like pull the tines up, flip it around, drop the pass, pretty much doing a deadlift at the end of every single pass. Like, you get rid of doing that kind of nonsense. So if you're planning to aerate, I would highly recommend considering that. And this blog post with the included video covers that in detail. So you can check that out, and it will hopefully you guys get some value out of it when it comes to aerating your lawn. And I highly recommend core aeration. It's a great thing to do. Relieves compaction. There's tons of benefits. Nutrient uptake is better. Like, fertilizing right after aeration is great. The lawn drains better. I mean, there's just a whole lot of reasons to do it. And once per season is good. If you can want to do it more than once per season, there's really no issue with doing that either. It really comes down to you. Let me see, core aeration blog, and I'll link this in the chat for all the folks that are interested. And there we go. We have another super chat. This one is from from Archie Amos. Thank you so much, Archie, for the super chat. I really do appreciate it.
Super chat received.
He says 55.0. I'm not sure what you are saying, Archie. Is it okay? But at any rate, thank you for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. And if I guess you can tell me the significance of 55, that will just explain it to me, and we'll go from there. But again, thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate it. And we will scroll back up and find out where we left off. The gram is quiet tonight, other than the question about what chair I'm using. But I guess that's useful info as well. All right, now the fun part. Next up, we got Aaron. Next one we have is Tutrilla. The Trilla in Manila. Aaron is here. Tutrilla's here. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron and Strap Action Gang. Hope everyone is staying warm and cozy." Yeah, definitely, man. Stay in the house. Stay indoors. Don't get out and do too much right now. It's a little bit too cold. But yeah, doing our best. Let's see. And let's see what it says here. Todd says, "Have placed certainty on POA breakout twice, increasing the dosage with each app. Last dose was 2 large scoops per gallon. That's a bit heavy. Can you suggest an alternative? No luck. I had the same problem last year. Tiffwave 419, North Carolina." I not really, Todd. I mean, there's, really certainty works. It works against Poanua. Now, when you sprayed certainty, did you spray it by itself, or did you also use surfactant with it? So this really, you want to add surfactant when you're using certainty for best results, because it's a spreader sticker. It helps coat the leaf of the weed you're targeting better. And if you get rainfall, it makes it less likely for the product to wash off. So there's a lot of reason to include or use surfactant along with certainty when you're spraying it, which is that's the main reason why it's included in our herbicide kit. So if all you've been spraying is certainty, if you've not been using surfactant with it, consider doing that. Like, I'd highly recommend that. Like, whenever I say use certainty, it's almost a given that you're going to be using, an adjuvant, using surfactant along with it. So if you've only been doing it by itself, consider doing certainty and surfactant. Really, all you should need is, 1 large scoop and 1 or 2 small scoops, and that really should do it. I've never, the rate that you're using there, 2 large scoops per gallon, I've never gone that heavy. I mean, I imagine it'll work, but I'm trying to think of what that rate would. That turns out to, yeah, you're going too heavy then, because that works out to 2.5 ounces per acre. So that's above rate. That's too much. And you shouldn't have to go that heavy. Like, again, even using 1 scoop per 1,000 square feet with surfactant, you will see a result. It's going to injure the POA, but as far as like burning it down to where like you'll do an app and then it is it's going to die off. 1 large scoop and 1 or 2 of the small scoops along with surfactant is what I find produces a good result. I've never actually ever sprayed. I'm trying to think if I've ever sprayed certainty without surfactant, and no, so I can't tell you how it performs, because like you should use surfactant whenever you're using this product, or you're using a Celsius. It just works better if you do that. And if you're wondering where you can get surfactant, we carry it on the Golf Course Lawn Store under Shop and under Weed Killer. So you've got Celsius, you got Certainty, and if you scroll down right there, you got surfactant. Not that expensive, totally worth investing in, makes the world of difference as far as the results you get with your herbicide applications. There's nothing else that I would really recommend, because like Certainty works. It works against POA. It's not like the product doesn't work. It absolutely works if it's mixed properly at the correct rates and you use surfactant with it. I've never actually tried spraying POA with Certainty without surfactant, so I can't tell you how it works, because I've never done that. So hope that helps, sir. Sorry you've been dealing with a POA outbreak, but try that. Try it again. You shouldn't have to go 2 large scoops, 1 and then 1 large and a couple small, and use surfactant with it. And I think you'll like the results that you get if you go that route. All right, next up we got Brian Tanner. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron and Lawn Nerd Gang." That we resemble that comment, Brian. Thanks for coming to hang out and chatting with us. Next up, we got Robert Rady in the house. He says, we saw 53 degrees yesterday, and now it's 36, going to 20 by morning here. Yeah, so we are going to get a few more days, at least here in Northeast Georgia, of cooler temps. But then it will get back on a warming trend, and then that'll be the end of January, moving into February, which is getting close to pre-emergent time. Again, in my neighborhood, not just one service, has been like 3 different services or 3 different separate services that are already spraying pre-emergent around here. So February, you're going to be good to go if you're in the Southeast United States. And again, when it comes to pre-emergent, you know how I feel about it. A little bit early is better than a little bit late. Always, always, and twice on Sunday. All right, next up is Real Rollers. Yeah, Real Rollers in the house. To what do we owe this honor, sir? He says, happy Friday, Ron. Thinking about the turf park all ready for the spring. Too soon to soil test? And when is the earliest you would start applying the nutrients needed? Pre-green up, or is that a waste? Great question, Real Rollers. As far as soil tests, I would do that next month. I would do pre-emergent again next month. And then as far as nutrients, in our area, really March. You know what I mean? You could start, once it begins greening up, you could start introducing fertilizer. I will be using the 12-0-24, so a high potassium fertilizer in March. And yeah, that's how I'm going to kick things off. It's slow release nitrogen, and again, it's a higher potassium fertilizer, which is a good recipe, a good formulation, in my opinion, for waking the turf up, and also in the fall for it going dormant. So yeah, great question. And again, yeah, I would soil test, not too soon to soil test. Next month, if you want, you can do it now if you want to, but really next month you could do that, and then pre-emergent next month, and then March is go time. March is go time. You can start introducing some nutrient in the soil. It depends on how our temperatures go, but normally, I'm trying to think, there's not been a single year where I didn't begin feeding in March, and the lawn has always responded well to that. So so hope you find that useful. And yeah, man, you gotta keep the turf park in good shape, because here, I'm sure you guys are gonna have a lot of traffic out there this year. You got the new mower launching and all this kind of jazz. So folks are going to be out there, beating up on the turf, and it's got to look good. You got to represent. So I like the question. I'm glad that you are already putting some thought and love into getting the turf park looking. It's absolute best. And if you want, if you ever want to chat about it, I think a guy that knows a guy that's not too far from the turf park. So if I can stop by, we can chop it up and figure it out. All right, next up, we have No Name. No Name is in the house. He says, hey, Ron and fellow lawn enthusiasts. Looking forward to some great lawn chat. 1 month until the season start. Let's get those likes up. That's a good point, No Name. I wanted to see what would happen. We got 87 people in here right now and only 57 likes. This makes me sad. Now, here's the thing. My real mowers are out right now, so I'm mowerless right now. It's cold weather, and now you guys aren't even like, you ain't giving me likes. What's going on? Like, am I just not good enough? Is it? What happened? I cut my hair, shaved, I'm cleaned up, and everything. Is it not enough just to get a single like? You know what? I'm gonna put the LG music on, and I have a sip of my Arnold Palmer while you guys hit that like button ever so gently, because it's a free way to support the channel and support the live stream. So thank you so much. I'm gonna have a sip, take a look at the gram and see who's there, see if they have any comments while you guys hit that like button. Let's see here. Off-Road NV, Nevada, Reno, Nevada says, we have spring fever. Yeah, well, in Reno, you guys are gonna be a bit, like your spring is really gonna start like April, I imagine. So yeah, that's one advantage of living here. You can move to the Southeast, we got cool stuff. It's winters are warmer, great times. You got Real Rollers here, so you got like more cool equipment. You can pick that up. So something to consider. Okay, so next up we got Colin. Colin's in the house. C-Pims is in the house. Speaking of Real Rollers, Lee, he was sporting he showed his, I think it's a McLean that he upgraded with a Real Rollers roller. Actually, I think I got a picture of it. So Colin's here in the live stream. Let me get him up here first. He says, "What's up, Ron? Happy Friday. In your opinion, do you think using compost for top dressing before the season is here is an okay idea, or wait until the grass is back up and going?" I would wait until you've got some green, until the grass is beginning to grow, CPIMs, Colin, before you put any compost or top dressing down. I wouldn't do it now this time of year. I'd wait until the grass is like it's waking up. It's you start mowing it, and then if you want to go out and do a light top dress of just compost, there's no issue with doing that at all. I mean, the last 2 years, I have top dressed my front lawn with just strictly compost, with just carbonized PN, right? And that I did that in the first part of April. So yeah, there's no issue with doing that if you want to, but I would wait for the grass to be like woken up. You're mowing it, and then if you want to go out and put some compost down, then by all means go for it. By all means, go for it. All right, so let me show everyone. So Lee's here. He'll feel proud to show off his baby, one of his babies in the wild. But yeah, this I think I still have. Yeah, this is more from last week. So this is before. This is more before. It's kind of a sad mower. It's kind of like, it looks good, it's clean, it looks nice, but then we go from like normal to major bling factor. Actually, let me get his comment off first so you guys can see that. So we go from like, not bad. I mean, it's still, it's cute. It's cute. It's precious, right? It's precious. It's a real mower. So you got to put some respect on its name. You got to show it some love. You got to, give respect where it's due. But then when you go from that to like this, I mean, it just looks a lot meaner, doesn't it? I mean, it's almost like, even though it's the same mower, like, especially if you got the side profile like that, it's almost like you put a big block in the mower. Just looks a lot better. Just looks mean, looks gnarly, right? Ready to take on, do some lawn domination. Looks clean. So I had to show that again because it's a good looking picture. I like good photography. All right, Colin, but yeah, all is good. Yeah, hopefully that helps as far as your question as far as doing the compost. There's not really an issue with doing that in the spring. I would wait until the lawn is not dormant. Like, if you're mowing it, then you can feel free to apply compost. And I have done compost prior to me doing leveling work because I mean, if you're just spreading a compost, you're not going to be aerating as part of the process. That's that's less stressful than like a full lawn leveling project, right? Lawn leveling, you're getting out there with aerator, you're beating the lawn up, you're putting down a sand soil blend. So it's a bit more stressful to the turf than just doing a light spread of compost on the surface. So you could do that a little bit earlier in the season with really no adverse effects if you so desire. Great question, man. I like where you're going. So you got your mower, you're thinking about compost. You are setting up to be that guy this year. I like it. I like it, man. Okay, next up is Tom Richter. He says, south of Austin, my lawn is still trash from 60 days of plus 100. Well, I mean, I get it. See, now, Tom, here's the thing, man. I just gave you guys in Texas a compliment. I said, normally with folks in Texas, it's either y'all are complaining that it's too hot and it's dry and it's, God has forsaken the state of Texas, what's going on, or you're getting too much rain and it's like a flood and what's going on. And now, I was giving you guys kudos, and here you are in winter, you're complaining about the 100-degree temps you had last year. You just can't win, you guys. Can't win. But here's how I would look at it, Tom. Yes, your lawn took a beating last year. That's no fun. But I mean, it's, the nice thing about the spring is it is another chance to intelligently begin again, right? So another chance to just start over. That's the nice thing about grass. If you make a mistake, you can pretty much always fix it given time and a bit of money. And the thing I would say from last year to this year, like, what can you do differently? If you didn't use any kind of a moisture manager like Hydrotain, consider doing that this season versus not doing that last year. Again, I don't know if you did that or not. Perhaps making some adjustment to your watering. I don't know if you have an irrigation system or not, but the fact that you know that your lawn did not do well with 100-degree temps, and frankly, like 2 months of temps in the hundreds is pretty tough. It's tough on any lawn, but there are things you can do to help mitigate that a bit. Obviously, water and moisture managers help. They do help tremendously as far as helping the lawn not suffering drought conditions as quickly as if you didn't use them. So just something to consider for this next season. I wouldn't be so quick to throw in the towel and just realize that this upcoming spring and summer are going to be a repeat of last year. You know what didn't work, so we can just do one thing a little bit differently and see how it responds, is what I would say. All right, next up is LG with another super chat. There's the LG we know and love. He says, sorry, Luis, but I prefer to stand solo in the spotlight.
Super chat received.
Well, thank you so much, LG. We will get you back up here. Let me do that really quick before I get off chatting about other stuff and forget. And so there you go, sir. Thank you for the super chat. Your name in lights. And again, I know that means a lot to you. So there you go. I appreciate all the love and support, sir. And hopefully next time when you win, you'll be present. You'll be present and accounted for. But yeah, guys, I mean, top dressing, I mean, I like all the questions I'm getting from you guys around like adding compost, around spreading compost, around doing top dressing works. I mean, it's literally one of the best things you can do for your lawn. If you want amazing turf where nutrient works better, drains better, and it just looks really good as far as looking smooth and just sweet and pristine, to have that look that your neighbors aren't really going to be able to match, consider top dressing this year. I mean, it's like a lot of people do it because they want their lawn to be smooth, but the biggest benefit that I got out of leveling my lawn, I say it all the time, I sound like a broken record, is just the lawn just drains so much better just from doing it one time. So if you're on the fence about it, consider it this season. The time that I like to do top dressing or leveling work in the Southeast is the May time frame, like late April, early May. Again, depending on temperatures, but late April, early May is a good time because the lawn for the most part is grown in. You're still getting some spring rain, which helps water or helps move the top dressing material into the soil profile a little bit easier, and it's not quite so hot. So May all the way through like the first part of August is your window for doing top dressing. But again, earlier in the season, I find to be better because it's just not as hot, a lot easier to do, not as backbreaking work. So consider top dressing as part of your project, as part of something you're gonna be doing on your lawn this year. And we got plenty of resources on the Golf Course Lawn Store about that. If you go to let me see here, if you go to resources, you've got new blog post we just launched on how to level a bumpy lawn like a pro, 7 simple steps. And then we've got another blog post on top dressing. So we got this guy on which really speaks more towards top dressing using manual tools, like using you're spreading the material manually, not using any tools. And then we've got another one which I'll see if I can find here really quickly, that talks about breaking out the big equipment, right? Like we had a top dressing spreader from we rented it from a local place from I think Earth and Turf who makes it. It's a really good piece of equipment and does makes light work of doing it. So there you go. How to top dress your lawn, a complete guide. So you got a lawn leveling guide, top dressing guide, one using manual tools and one breaking out the big guns, complete with videos, explanations, like lowering your height of cut, core aeration, fertilizer to use, like all of it. Like, I mean, it's, you got no excuse after reading this if you don't get a good result with your top dressing. So hope that helps. I like where you guys are going, man. I like all the talk already about lawn leveling work and compost work. All right, next up is Gary Freeman. He's in the house. He says, hey, Ron, Stripe Action Gang, happy Friday. Time for pre-emergent. Yeah, man, it's about time. It's getting close. They're already doing it in my neighborhood, but I mean, we've still got time. You don't have to do it quite yet. You can wait till February to get your pre-emergent out. So yeah, but yeah, my mantra when it comes to pre-emergent, a little bit early is always better than a little bit late. All right, we got Matthew Whitson next. He says, hey, Ron, hope all is well. Thanks for all you do. I appreciate that, Matthew. Appreciate that. And then Justin the Cherub, he says, any sales yet? No, we did. We had one for like Black Friday last year, but this time of year, not so much. This time of year, not so much. So yeah, if you want to, I'd say stock up on the products that you want to get and get rolling. But yeah, you're not, in other words, holding out in anticipation of a sale, you will be waiting a long time. There's not going to be one in the springtime. All right, next is Granger, the CEO of Lifestyle. He says, hey, Ron, the break is over. I'm starting to get that grass season itch. LOL, let's go. It's going to be here soon, man. You guys are all chomping at the bit. But then, once the work starts, once, March gets here, and then you got to be out there. Because here's the thing, guys, you got a rep to uphold. You got to be out there mowing the lawn, a couple times a week, doing the work to keep the lawn looking good. There's not really going to be an option. So enjoy this downtime while you have it. Because once it starts, it is on, as they say. All right, so Archie Amos is in. Actually, no, we got another super chat here. We got two. So we got one from Luis. Do that. He says, "There's no worries. Our LG. I was revising my chat and pressed almost the same time. Ron, by the way, the cold weather beanie was great while running the snow thrower this afternoon at 9-degree weather." And then we have another super chat. You know what? Because they're all coming into another super chat. So Luis like offset LG. So let me get Luis back up here. And then it looks like we got a few more, but let me get Luis up. And I got to have him up for a little while because I have adding Luis. Why am I Arbareño? Is there a ñ in your name? Is it Ayabareño or just Ayabareno? I think it's probably the ñ, right? It's got like the tilde. I don't know. All right. But yeah, I'm glad the beanie worked out well. Sorry you're dealing with 9-degree weather. That's not fun. And, if you want to send pictures, that's fine, but keep the cold up where you are, if you don't mind, sir. So you got your name up there for the super chat. And then next up, we got Archie Amos coming in. He says, I agree, LG. I prefer to stand alone. I raise you. All right, so here's what we're going to do. So I think, what did Archie do before? So 50 and then another. So I think you guys are... So yeah, so Archie definitely displaced LG. And then next up we have James Smith, the super chat. He says, LG, share the bright lights. So here's what we're gonna do. So LG has been clearly dethroned. So what we will do for now then is, because I don't want to be a don't want to be a jerk. I'm gonna do this for a few minutes and then I'm gonna switch to whoever truly is the highest. So we have LG, Archie, Archie Amos, and then finally, James Smith. There you go. So a whole bunch of names in lights, and we will move you guys across here. But then LG has dropped another super chat saying game, set, match. Super chat. He says, all right, Archie, Luis, let's do this. I've been drinking. I just got my welfare check today. Let's do this. All right, LG. Well, I think that settles it, right? I think that settles it. You guys have to keep track. I haven't keeping track of who is on top, but I believe that LG is by far the leader at this point. So correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll fix it if need be. But I think that puts LG to stand alone for the time being. So let me get you over here, LG. There you go. Your name in lights, and obviously it means a whole lot to you. Thank you so much for the support. I really do appreciate it. And back to the show until you guys want to keep going at this. Even more. All right. So the hardest part of dealing with the super chats is finding where I left off, but yet I've managed it. Next up, we got Andrew Phillips. He says, hello, Ron and all. Very cold in Dallas area. The remaining green in my front yard is slowly going away. LOL. I should think so, man. Like 20s, you want Bermuda to stay green with temps in the 20s. I mean, come on. I mean, even Bermuda's got limitations. It's awesome. It's alpha, but I mean, even Bermuda grass has its limits. He says, I'll start my pre-scalp end of January and then get my reel sharpened. Have a good show. Thank you so much, Andrew. I like it. And for those of you guys that are joining the live stream late, the calendar, the free calendar on the Golf Course Lawn Store has been updated. So, and we talk about pre-scalping and some of the tasks you can do in the month of February. So for any of you guys that have just joined, I'll show that again here really quick, where you can find it if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store and then go to resources and then lawn care schedule, and then go to item 5 in the table of contents, which is the monthly application calendar. And, we've added the schedule has been revised to add some notes for November, October, like really the beginning and the ends have had the adjustments. But for February, what Andrew's talking about, optional, depending on where you are, what kind of grass you have, you do your pre-scalp, get a soil test done, and then get your pre-emergent out. So that's our recommendations. And this adjustments we've made based on feedback and from this adjustments we made from last year. So you guys get some of what's in the calendar in the academy, because I want you guys to have great looking lawns too. And if you guys are enjoying the show, I know we're going a little bit slower tonight. If you guys would not mind hitting the like button, assuming you have not done so already, please do that. It costs absolutely nothing. It's a free way to support the content, and it really would mean a lot. So hit that like button, and it would mean a lot to me. Next up, we got Aaron H in the house. He says, hello, guys. Howdy, Aaron. Hopefully you're doing all right. And we got Tom Hoffenkamp saying happy Friday from the Pacific Northwest. Thanks, Tom. Sounds good. Happy Friday to you as well. And then Neil White says, Ron, I'm tired of winter. It's going to be going away soon. We have like a few more, but depending on where you are in the country. If you're in Georgia, next month we should not have this craziness where every night it's in the 30s and this kind of nonsense. So give it till February. February's only a few days, 10, 11 days away, not that far away. And then you'll have to do it. So enjoy the downtime. Enjoy it while you have it, because it's going to go away soon. It's going to go away soon. All right, next up is Colin. He says, I know you've also mentioned it before, but do you apply a fungicide any other time besides October, November? Do you use it at all before spring shows up? Excellent question, Colin. I do fungicide preventively twice in the year, so two times in the year. Once in the springtime, so in the months of May and June, and then again in the fall in the months of October and November. And you'll notice here, if you go to the calendar, which was just updated, and you go to the month of May, you'll see a note here saying for the first spring/summer headway or pillar G application, and then the second application. So I do it 2 months consecutively, May, June, and then unless you got some kind of disease problem in your lawn, which you really shouldn't after doing that, the next time it will be October, November. So I do it twice a year, total of 4 applications per year. But again, the May, June is when I do it, and then again in October and November. And the calendar that's on the Golf Course Lawn Store has been updated to reflect that. So you got the first one and the second one. So hope that helps, sir. And yes, I am a fan of doing preventative fungicide apps. Now, to answer your question, like doing it earlier than that, if you have a history in your lawn where, say, like March, you're starting to see some disease, like when your lawn wakes up, you're starting to see some disease issues, then in that case, yeah, get out there and put a fungicide down. It's really not going to hurt anything. If you, especially if you've got a history of disease issues. The thing I would say is this, to keep in mind. You'll notice that I do, again, an app in May and then one in June, and there's a big stretch of time with no fungicide going into the soil, and then another one in October, November. If you are going to say, let's say your lawn is one where you have you had disease problems in, say, April, right? What I would not do is do the same fungicide in April, May, and June. Like that's you want to rotate them. So what I would say is really you don't want to apply the same fungicides more than twice, or in the same family more than twice in a row before rotating to something else. So if we're just using this hypothetically speaking, if you say you had to do a fungicide app in April and you still want to do one in May and June, you may not need it, but say you wanted to do that. What I would say is you could do like Pillar SC or Headway in April. You could either do Pillar SC and Headway again in May, or you could rotate to a different group. Like if you go to like Clary's, like 336F, like you go with that because that's a group. I think it's a group 1 fungicide, whereas Headway and Pillar, they both are combinations. I think they're 3 and 11. I think that's correct. I think they're 3 and 11. One of them is definitely 3. I think the other one is 11. It's either 3 and 11 or 3 and 7, one of the two. But rotate away from that for another app for your other application. Then you can always rotate back afterwards. But you don't want to keep using the same fungicide over and over and over and over again in consecutive months, because you can start developing resistance issues, which is bad, right? Because then you have to get into more expensive fungicides. So rotate them. Don't keep using the same one like months and months in a row. I am not a fan of doing the same one more than twice. And in most cases, like I've not experienced this an issue where I've had disease problems in my lawn where 2 apps, like one, like say the beginning of May, and then another one, 21 to 28 days later, didn't clear things up. I personally not had that experience. So two apps tends to do the trick as far as clearing up an active disease problem. If you need another one after that, it's time to rotate to something else. So hope that helps, sir. Great question about fungicides. They're an important tool, especially given that, if you're real mowing and you're stressing the turf more, because the thing about is this, Colin, with real mowing, like unfortunately in life, there's no free lunch, right? So if you want, the shorter you mow your grass, the shorter you want to maintain your lawn, the more you have to mow it. And the additional mowing comes with additional injury, right? And every time you cut the grass, you're injuring. Every time you cut the turf, you're injuring, which is why it's so important that your equipment be kept as sharp as possible. But a side effect, if you look at like lawns that are mowed once every 2 weeks, like people that don't really care about their grass just enough so they don't get a nasty gram from the HOA, people that mow their grass every 2 weeks they a lot of times have less disease problems than folks like us that are out there real mowing it, every, a couple, at least twice a week during the summer, maybe every other day, depending on your height of cut. So that's why, fungicides are an important tool for a turf that's being injured regularly. That's being a bit more stressed to keep the lawn disease free. So yes, absolutely do a spring fungicide app, and then again in the fall. I'm a fan of doing that as well. Mainly in my case because I'm trying to keep spring dead spot away. But yeah, it's a great question. I like it, man. You guys are trying to get get your program all figured out for this season. I like it. This is the time of year to do it, so you are good to go. You're not going to be guessing when it's actually go time. And again, the calendar on the Golf Course Lawn Store has been updated, so you guys can can go through that. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to send it to me. But yeah, I think you guys are going to get some value out of it. All right, next up we have Sharni Seaton with a heart emoji. Thank you so much, Sharni, I guess. Heart emoji back at you. And then next up we got Stephen Thompson says, yes, I got 14 in the front that all swell. So yes, if all 14 of your irrigation heads swell or the turf around them swells, when it's drought, I think it's more akin to the drought than the irrigation head. I mean, when you want to go in there and look, you should be pretty easy to tell whether or not there's water leaking or anything like that. But I mean, I have not experienced that. I can't speak from experience, Stephen, because we don't get droughts like what you guys get in like in Texas and other parts of the country here in Georgia. Not to the that extent of severity. So hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully it stays that way. All right, next up is Randall Lard. Randall Lard's in the house. He says, good evening, Ron. I added some marker dye to the Spectacle Flow because the white liquid is hard to see when using the Primo bottle. Turned it blue and is a lot easier to see when measuring. Huh. I've never done that. I guess, I don't know. It's a good question, Randall. It's a good question. I don't know if that's a great idea if you're going to be storing it that way. I'll have to ask. I'll have to ask one of my contacts. I don't know if that's necessarily a great idea. So a trick you can do is, and I agree with you, like, if you look at like a Celloprint, because Spectacle Flow is white in color. If you look at a Celloprint, like that can be difficult to make out like how much is in there. Like right now, this has got 0.3 in there. So if I empty this out, a way to measure it and for it to be easier, even though this is white, is if you can put the bottle in between yourself and the sun. You know what I mean? So you want it on a flat surface, but if you can have some light like flowing through it, even though the liquid is white, it makes it easier to see. So that's something to consider. Like but yeah, I get what you're saying, that it can be difficult to make out the measurements. But try that. That's what I do. Whenever I'm measuring it, the sun is always, because the sun like rises over like my neighbor's house in the back. So when I'm spraying stuff, which tends to be in the morning, the sun is rising and literally it's like they're shining right through the bottle. It's really easy for me to see like how much product I'm using. So just try that. Or in a pinch, get a flashlight. Set it behind the bottle, and it'll be very clear, really easy to see, how much of the product you're measuring out. I would not recommend adding dye or colorant to it. I mean, it's one thing if you're adding that to the tank that you're about to spray, but as far as adding that to the bottle and you're going to store it that way, I don't know if that's a great idea. I'll have to ask. I'll ask my contact what they think. They're probably going to tell me, yeah, don't do that. But I don't know why you wouldn't. But I don't think it's a good idea. So try that trick instead. Is what I'm telling you. Like add light between the bottle, the measuring cup, and you should be a lot easier to see. All right, next up is Stephen Thompson is back. He says, the Texas drought does cause a lot of ground shifting, so I figure that's all it is. If it happens again this summer, I may dig around a few and check for leaks. Yeah, do that, Stephen. I say it's the drought. The drought is what I'm gonna point at. So next up is Matt Jackson. He says, I'm in Texas and we hit the teens and this would be the teens in Austin. Now the grass is dormant and crunchy. So something to also consider, guys, is I haven't spoken about this, but if you're gonna have a stretch of cold, like really cold weather, here in Georgia, we're fortunate enough that it rains often enough that you normally don't have to do this. Last year we had like a stretch of dry weather and then really cold temps, and it caused some damage. But just like very hot temperatures are bad for the grass, very cold temperatures are also bad for the grass too. Like you can cause it to desiccate. It causes the word is desiccation. It causes it to dry out. Like it actually pulls moisture out of the plant. So if you're gonna have, I'm not sure in the teens, if you're gonna have like several days where it's gonna be really cold, like in the teens, and there's no rain in the forecast, it would not be a bad idea leading up to that to run an irrigation cycle, put some moisture into the soil, into the turf. It just reduces the chance of you getting some damage from from prolonged cold temperatures. So we don't tend to think about that during the wintertime, but cold, like extreme cold, can be just as damaging as extreme hot for turf grass. I mean, that's the reason why like some of my friends that work on courses, like they're all running around. If Devin were here, like when it gets really cold out, they're out covering the greens up, right? Try and keep the temps a little bit more manageable to prevent damage to the grass. So it's just something to keep in mind. Like very cold temperatures can and will dry the grass out and cause damage. And the bad part about it is you won't actually notice it now, because if you have a Bermuda lawn, it's dormant, right? So you're not gonna really see anything. But whenever spring rolls around, you'll have an area of your lawn that is either takes a lot longer to come in, or just lags behind everywhere else because it's gotten some damage from the cold. So it's something to consider if you're gonna have a string of very cold temperatures with no moisture, no rainfall or anything like that. Here again, in Georgia, we tend to get rain regularly that you don't have to water, but just something to keep in mind. All right, so next up we have so we got here. So I'm going through the super chat battle between LG and Luis and Archie, and it looks like Luis is not leaving well enough alone. He is back, so I think Luis is going to be on top of this one. Let me see. So 20. No, I think LG is still on the top. But at any rate, super chat from Luis. Thank you so much, sir.
Super chat received.
He says, thanks, LG, for the Friday competition. Also, Ron, do you still recommend the Mirror Meat Sheet 444? Been in touch with Isaac and eagerly waiting the interchangeable reel for the Revolution 26 for us remote folks. Yes, I do. I do recommend the 444. It's a great fertilizer. The thing about that fertilizer that's nice is that it's unlike other fertilizers that are air quotes organic. Like this is a truly OMRI listed product. So it's if you are more about organic lawn care, if you want to use it on your lawn, you want to use it in your garden. I mean, it's a great fertilizer from that standpoint. Is it a replacement for say like Humic Max or like the 14714 or the stress fertilizer? No, but you're comparing two different things, right? I mean, for people that want an organic fertilizer, in other words, if you're in the camp where you want like an organic lawn care program, like the 444 is nice in the sense that it's a granular product that is organic. And that fits your fertilization needs from a granular standpoint. And then you could then use, say, the Miramichi Carbon Kit, the one that we carry on the Golf Course Lawn Store, with your liquids, and then you're taking a pretty organic approach to your lawn care program. But yes, it's a great fertilizer. I used it exclusively on the front lawn last year, and it was awesome. Color was great. It looked good. I mean, I have no complaints at all whatsoever. So for people that are into that really want an organic approach to lawn care, the 444 is an excellent option. And again, we've got it now. There's a few 45-pound bags left, but really we're going to be switching to 50-pound bags here going pretty soon. If you go to shop and then to lawn fertilizer, you will see it listed right here. Yep, the Premier Organic. So it's a equal amounts of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And then in addition to that, you also have some calcium, a bit of iron, some humate, and there's also a bacteria package that Miramichi Green adds to it as well. So you can think of it almost like it's a fertilizer, but also like a biostimulant as well. It's a great product. It doesn't quite doesn't replace Essential G, but it's an excellent product if you are looking for an organic approach to lawn care. And again, it's available in both 50 and 45-pound bags. We only got a few of these left, but then there'll be only 50s here soon. So if you guys are interested in some organic good for your lawn, I will add that to the chat here. And there you go. Thank you so much for the super chat, Louise. And then I think that puts you makes you the show sponsor. So let me go and get you all set up here. So Louise, I promise, man, one day I will be able to just say your name, just have it roll off my tongue, not have to like sound it out. So there you go, sir. Your name in lights, whatever it means to you. And you know what, Luis? Because of the question, you had some Revolution 26 put in there, but the question you had around the 444, the Mirimichi 444, I think that deserves to be our Mirimichi question of the week. So if you're someone that likes to wear t-shirts when you're working in the lawn, some people don't do that. Some people like to wear like collared shirts, or they don't like t-shirts. If you're not either of those camps, then you, sir, now can grab one of these, one of the greatness from the ground up t-shirts for free. All you have to do is send me an email saying, hey, Ron, give me my shirt that I want. You can say, gimme. You can say like, hey, Ron, I won. Can you just let me know how I can get your free shirt, my free shirt? And I will respond and I'll say, Luis, congrats. Here's how you can get your free shirt. And then it'll be sent to you post haste in a few days. And you'll be styling and profiling in the spring with your shirts. If you want that, feel free to shoot me an email. And my email address, which you should have, is ron@golfcourselawn.com. Send me an email there with that, and I'll make sure you get it all taken care of. So again, thank you so much. Great question, and I will. The folks at Mirimichi will like that one. Again, thanks to Mirimichi Green for being a great partner and sponsoring the shirts. I'm sponsoring the question of the week, so I always look for a cool question that highlights their products, and also just answers a question that many of you likely have. So great stuff. Thanks again for the super chat and Mirimichi question Q. I gotta make a note here of the week. All right, cool. Again, thanks again, Luis. Take a picture once you get the Revolution 26. And yes, as far as the interchangeable reel, yeah. So there's grumblings about that. You can again talk to the folks at Real Rollers. They are the authorities on it. But yeah, they're definitely making it easy for folks that do not have a way to sharpen their mower nearby to be able to easily pull that reel out, almost like a cartridge, and then send it out, get it all cleaned up again, and be back in business. So yeah, I mean, here's what I would say, guys. Granted, I mean, I get nothing out of this, but for me, if you're gonna do that, and I don't know if Real Rollers might be creating a problem for them by even suggesting this, but if you're going to do that, then consider having like a second one. Consider having like a second reel. So that way you got one, you keep in the mower and you're just rolling with that. And then you take the other one, the second one. And again, I don't know what they're going to cost or if they're even going to offer this as an option, but then you have one that you send out, let that one get sharpened. And then you're not really like in a rush to get it turned around super quickly. I'm sure they're going to do it quickly, but I'm just saying you're not like down, because there's pretty much from March till October, if you have warm season grass, I know you have cool season grass, Louise, pretty much during that time frame, there's never a good time to not have your mower. You know what I mean? Even if the reel is gone for like a week or two, that's bad. I mean, with everything we're doing, that's bad news. So it might be something to consider. Maybe reach out to the guys at Real Rollers and say, hey, listen, are you guys gonna have an option where I can buy a second one? That way you can like send the one that needs to be sharpened out, and then you drop your fresh one in, and that way you're always good to go. You're always good to cut. So just something to consider. Just something that I would highly consider for me. I don't do that because I don't have a 26, but I've got multiple mowers that I can cut my lawn with. I can either cut it with the C27 or the Greensmaster. So I pretty much always have a mower that is sharp that I can use while the other one is being worked on. But yeah, man, thanks again for the super chat.
Super chat.
Appreciate all the love and support, and it's going to be a good season, man. 2024, I think, is going to be good. Hopefully this year we don't have any of the craziness that we had last year. You guys remember what happened last year, where we were all like living our best life? Things were awesome. The first part of March was great, and then like the third week of March, we had like this cold snap where the temps went down like into the like low 30s, high 20s, and Bermuda was like, what? And it like checked out and really slowed down green up. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't get that this year. That's my hope and prayer. If that doesn't happen, then we are going to be in this year 2024 will be better than 2023. All right, next up is Larry. He's in the house. LRCXD. He says, Ron, I sprayed the Triad Select yesterday on the weeds. Keep me posted how that works out, Larry. I know you did that, so you spot spray hopefully just one section. Let me know how that works, and we'll learn something as far as how well if Triad has control against those weeds that you were looking to get rid of. All right, next up is Mark Romano. He says, I use a large Phillips screwdriver to make a hole, then put in St. Augustine. Then the cats won't dig it up. Smack that like button. All right, cool. Thanks for the tip, Mark. Is there a thing with cats digging up St. Augustine? I don't know. All right, next up is Dan Lynch. He says, thanks for the input on the earlier question. Tomorrow, high should be around 40. So I'm going to do some spot spraying, and I will try to report back with results. Nice. Very cool, Dan. Again, remember, so here's what I would say. Spray, and then don't look at it for 2 weeks. Look at it so you spray tomorrow, 2 weeks from now, look at the areas that you sprayed, and then you'll be able to assess the results. Because, again, when temps are cooler, herbicides tend to take a bit longer to work, but it's Celsius and certainty are effective with temps in the 40s. I personally have done that, and I've gotten great control in a lawn that was in pretty bad shape. So keep me posted as far as that goes. Yeah, I sprayed and on some small weeds, sent you a picture of. I'll keep watch and let you know how it works. Very cool. All right, next up is Matt Jackson. He says, I can't wait to top dress. I want to get a couple yards of good stuff on there over the summer. Matt, here's the thing, and I got to tell you, if you've never top dressed a lawn before, it's almost like a long road trip, or I can't say a long road trip because a long road trip is not that bad because you're in a car and you're driving. It's almost like if you're someone that like doesn't like running, but then you're being made like your significant other or someone is trying to make you run like a 5K. It's kind of like that. Like when you first show up there, you got your shirt on, you got your gear, you're looking all good, and you're with all the other people that are running, and you're like, yeah, man, we're going to do this. And when you first start out with a top dressing project, with a lawn leveling project, it's a ton of fun, and you're like super excited. You got the lawn aerated, you're about to put the sand down. And then, we'll say the equivalent of like mile 2, like the reality sets in that you get this leveling rake and it's going to become a part of your body. Like you got to go through and basically like scrub this stuff into the entire lawn. So there are different phases to lawn leveling, I'd say. And Alex and I, we've spoken about this, at length over bourbon. And we both agree that, yeah, for the first hour, 2 hours of a lawn leveling project, tons of fun. But then once you actually get the material out and you're out there working the material in with a lawn leveling rake, it becomes a bit, it's a rite of passage. How about that? It's probably a good way of saying it. But once you're done and then you get to see your lawn that was once green, all covered in dirt, and you get to say, man, I hope it all grows back, and it will. Then you get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So I love the enthusiasm, but just realize that there's going to be some work involved in it, especially if you have a larger lawn. My lawn is just under 12,000 square feet. So it's a lot to level rake, to go out with a rake with. If you get a smaller lawn, a 4,000 square feet or less, it probably wouldn't be that bad. But anytime I do mine, typically we're also doing Alex's. So you're talking about like 19,000 square feet of lawn getting top dressed in a weekend, which is a lot. So keep me posted as far as how it works out for you whenever you decide to do it. And then remember, it's when it comes to any kind of renovation project on your lawn, take pictures before, if you can, take pictures during, and then definitely take pictures afterwards, because once you're done, the lawn's never gonna look the same way again. And you wanna be able to capture that to appreciate how far you came, So definitely take pictures of it. All right, let's see who we got here on the gram. You guys are quiet tonight. Yeah, fairly quiet, but we will press on. Next up is Archie Amos. He says, I thought I was sponsoring at $55. My bad. No worries. Archie, and then LG says 55 is Archie's height of cut. 0.55 inches. That's not too bad. Here's the thing. I'm a fan of over half an inch. I personally, I'll tell you a story. Short story time. Like, I fell into the trap of thinking, lower is better and lower looks more awesome. And that, if you're a man's man, real man mow the lawn like half an inch or lower. So there was a year, I think it was 2021. I think it was that season where I mowed the lawn. I had the mower set to 0.45, so under half an inch. Because if you go up half an inch, that lacks commitment, right? So 0.45 shows real commitment, right? So bench height 0.45, and I got to tell you, during the summer months, I mean, the lawn looked nice. I mean, as far as like looking like a pool table, like you could literally take a golf ball and throw it and it would like roll across the lawn. So as far as like it behaving like a fairway, it absolutely did that. But during the summer months, like you literally had to mow it every day. Really, every 36 hours, the lawn needed to be mowed to stay looking nice. And the color wasn't as good. The stripes were not as good. So it's one of these things, at least in my opinion, having actually done it, I don't think that mowing under half an inch, if you have especially if you have a larger lawn, you got a small lawn, sure, go knock yourself out, enjoy it. But if you have a larger lawn, and by larger I mean like 10, more than that, 8,000 square feet or bigger, it like mowing at half an inch or below half an inch is a lot more work than mowing at 3/4 of an inch. Even though it doesn't seem like 1/4 of an inch wouldn't seem like it would make that much of a difference, in the summer months it really does. Because here's how if you think about how the math of that works out. Like, the 1/3 rule, right? You never want to take off more than a third of grass at any given time in a mowing session. So a third of 3/4 of an inch or 0.75 is 0.25, right? So 1/4 of an inch is, you got a lot more leeway there. Once you get down to like half an inch or under that, you're talking about like 0.17, like you're talking about like a much smaller increment of that you can take off and still have the turf look good between mowing. So it's a ton of work. It seems cool, and I guess for a smaller lawn it would be, but for a larger lawn, man, it just wore me out. Like that year, I was mowing during the summer months every day, and it kind of became not fun. Like I almost started to not enjoy real mowing, and I don't want that to ever be a thing. So I did the sensible thing. I went up to 3/4 of an inch. The lawn looks better. It stripes better. The color's better. And yeah, so that's my thing. That's what I'm going to be doing going forward. That's what I teach, because I think most people 3/4 of an inch is good enough. Most of your neighbors are not going to be able to match you as far as appearance looks if you're keeping your lawn at 3/4 of an inch. That's pretty baller. All right, next up is James. James Smith says, "Evening, gang. Hit that like button." Definitely, guys. If you guys are enjoying the live stream and having fun, hit the like button. It's a free way to support the channel, and shows your love and support for the content, and me showing up every single week. On the topic of live streams, actually, I should talk about that now. So next week's live stream, and just for next week's live stream will not be on Friday. Next week's live stream will be on Wednesday night. I have a prior commitment for next week that I can't get out of. I really can't get out of. So Wednesday evening is going to be the live stream for next week. So Friday, I got something I got to do, and I can't unfortunately I can't live stream on Friday, so it'll be Wednesday evening just for next week. I'm gonna get it scheduled ahead of time. I'll have like Wednesday listed on the thumbnail, so you guys won't miss it. It'll be pretty obvious that this is not the normal time, not the normal day. It'll be the normal time, but not the normal day, and it'll be just for next week. And then we'll be back to our normal scheduled programming of Fridays, right? Because that's when we like to do it. Aaron H says, "We hit 17 degrees and it's getting warm." Okay, I'm not sure where you are, Aaron, but that's pretty cold. And next up is James Smith. He says, "Getting close to predoming time in a month for the Southeast. Forgot the desiccation from last week. Last year, January averaged 56 degrees, and in February it was 61 degrees. Cool. Very, very cool. Guys, I was talking about how to cut. I know we've only got like 85, 87 people in here right now. But one of the questions that I want to ask you guys, and seeing James, reminded me of it, is what height of cut are you going to maintain your lawn at this year? Are you let's say maintaining this year? We'll do that. Maintaining this year. So I'll give you a couple of options. I can't list every one. This season. All right, so we're gonna say we're gonna have the pain factor below half an inch. We'll see how many of you guys actually chime in on that. Below 0.5 inches, 0.75 inches, and then we're gonna add another option, and then we'll say real mowing is crazy. Give me all that height. high. We'll say high as possible. All right. All right. Okay. So there you go. So you got three options: below 1/2 inch, at 3/4 inch, and then real mowing is crazy as high as possible. So there you go. So we have all of our options. You guys can feel free to weigh in. So be interested to see what you guys are going with. So there's a poll. Feel free to chime in, and while we keep going throughout the rest of the live stream, and you can weigh in on what height of cut you are going with. All right, next up we have James Smith. He says, any Mr. Roller Lee. He says, any thoughts on the spring event at the turf park this year? I'm not sure if he's still around. He has told me that he plans to do one this year. I don't know, in the springtime rather. I don't know when exactly, but I believe that's part of the plan for this season is to do a turf park party. I'm sure he'll let you guys know ahead of time, but that's the extent of what I know. As far as when, don't know. But he has said, yeah, we're probably going to do one this year. Jared George is up next. He says, Ron, late to the show, but here now. We got snow. Looks to be gone next week. But first, can I stripe my snow? No, Jared, there has to be limitations. Even among you, there has to be limitations, man. First of all, could you stripe the snow? Not really, because the thing about it, like, it's not, like, the snow doesn't really lay, so your stripes aren't going to show up that great. So I'm going to say no. You're just going to be one of those people. And you say, only half joking. Real question: 45 degrees soil temperature, is that okay to apply pre-emergent? Yeah. So anything where the average 5-day, the 5-day average is in the above 45 degrees, like trending warmer, is a good window to get your pre-emergent out. Again, in January here in Northeast Georgia, the professional services are already out putting out pre-emergent. I tend to wait until February. Now, even in January here in Georgia, right? We have times where we have a stretch of weather where it'll be in the 50s, but I would still wait until February. Main reason for that is that with prodiamine, the residual on it isn't as long as other pre-emergents. If you want to get a good solid 3 to 4 months of control, especially during the time of the year when weeds are more likely to germinate, that's why waiting until February is a good plan. If you want to do a split up, you do some in February and then again in April, that's fine too. But I only do one application at a higher rate in the month of February, and that has served me well. So yes, if you want to plan to do that next month, there's no issue with doing that. Again, I've done that every year for many years, and I don't have a lot of issues with weeds in my lawn, Alex's lawn, or any other lawns that I help out with. So hope that helps, Jared. Great question. Next up is Steve Jackson. Steve Jackson. He says, hey, Ron, does Owlet have a certified reel sharpeners in the U.S.? What is your preference, relief grind or full grind? Thanks. So as far as certified reel sharpeners, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if there's anyone that's like certified to sharpen. If they have a certification program. I can tell you that I have a guy that sharpens mine, Michael Hammonds, Atlanta Reel Mowers. He sharpens mine. He's actually got it, and I should be getting it back this weekend. He told me. We'll see. And he does a relief grind on it. He does a relief grind on the on all my reels. So yeah. So yes, that's worked well, and it's, I mean, as long as you can get the specs, like whenever the first time he did it, he reached out to Al to get the specs as far as angles and this kind of stuff that they want or they recommend on the reels. Once he had that, he was good to go. And he's done my reel. This will be the second time he's done it. And then I know he's done reels for other people that have Sterlings that have sent them into him, and I've not really heard any complaints. But as far as a certification program per se, I'm not aware of one that Owlet has. I mean, if you can reach out to Michael and chat with him. But if you're someone that grinds reels or knows how to grind them, it might be a business opportunity, because there's people that have a lot of these mowers, and they need to keep them in good shape. But again, locally, being in Georgia, you're really spoiled. You got like tons of people that can grind reels, right? So the guy that I have, again, Michael Hammonds, does a good job, and he can do true cuts. I mean, I'm not sure if there's any reel mowers that he doesn't do, but he has my true cut. He's done my Greensmaster, and he's done the Owlet, and they come back razor sharp, and they run great. So something to consider. All right, Bill Stewart is up next. He says, sent you photos of my off-season project, loving the downtime, Revolution 26 pending. Okay, Bill, I don't have an email from you. Did you? When did you send it? I don't have anything. If you did, maybe it was too the image was too large that you sent. But I don't have any emails. I don't have anything from you as yet that I can see. So it's ron@golfcourselawn.com if you want to send it. All right. Next up, Andrew Phillips says, is Real Rollers in the chat? I don't know. Not sure. Robert Rainey says, ever heard of anyone doing a top dress while rye was actively growing? If only it worked that way. Yeah, I mean, most folks that do would, yes, Robert. I mean, that would be the time to do it. Most people that top dress, even cool season lawns, they tend to do them either in the springtime or in the fall. And when it's actively growing, would be the time to do it, right? It's gonna recover faster. It's gonna grow through the sand faster. So yeah, in other words, if the ryegrass were in a period of dormancy or in a period of stress, that would be a time when I would not do it. But if it's it's actively growing, that would be the time to do any kind of top dressing or leveling work. All right, next up is Colin. He's in the house. He says, that's exactly what I was thinking too in reference to compost top dressing. I actually spoke to Lee over the phone when I placed my order for the grooved roller. Nice. Very, very cool. I like it. All right, always baked, never fried says, good evening, Ron. Applied granular pre-emergent on schedule and winter weeds sporadically popped up all over. Long story short, Celsius and certainty on hand and new owner of the Earthway 2600. Very nice. Very cool, man. Nice, nice, nice. Good stuff. Glad that you get your pre-emergent down, and you may have and that's the thing to keep in mind. When it comes to pre-emergent, it's not a silver bullet. I mean, the closest to it anyway is spectacle. Outside of that, you will have a bit of breakthrough here and there. And that's just to be expected. It could be the amount of rainfall you get, how evenly you applied it. There could be a bunch of factors, but the idea is that if like applying pre-emergent, you're going to have substantially less weeds in your lawn than if you don't do it. So I'm a big fan of doing pre-emergent twice a year, spring and fall. And you've got some post-emergent herbicides now, like you got Celsius and certainty to be able to clean up any little bit of breakthrough you have. So you're good to go, man. And you got a great spreader. You are on the way. You are on the way. Eric says 1,000% agreed. I'm not sure what you agree with, but I'm glad that you agree, Eric. And then next up, let me see here. You guys are kind of going back and forth. And let's see. Trying to find the next question. Mark Romano says, Bill Stewart says 70 degrees here in SoCal today, and no, I'm not sorry. Oh yeah, man, that would be nice. It's definitely not 70 degrees here. So yeah, those are nice temperatures, close to the ocean. Yeah, milder temperatures. That's one thing California has going for it. It definitely has nicer, has great weather. And then next up is Romano. He says, Ron is loving this and appreciating you guys. Oh yeah, man, definitely. Yeah, the super chats. Thank you so much. It means a lot, man. Every bit helps. It definitely helps out. I mean, all this camera equipment and lights and stuff is not inexpensive. So I do appreciate all the support that you guys give to the live stream, to the channel. Means a whole lot. Means a whole lot. All right, let me see what else you guys have as far as questions. You guys are kind of going back and forth about the super chat. And next up is Mark Luna. All right, Mark has a question. He says, good evening, Ron. Happy Friday. Cole in Austin again. Cannot wait for the spring. Yep, you and me and everyone else. But it'll be here soon. And then next up is LG says, easiest way to measure small amounts is to use an agricultural syringe. That's another option too. Yep, I use one for prodiamine and tenacity, laser precision. That's a good point. LG, if you don't have access to, if you've never bought a Celeprint or you never bought a Primo Max, then yes, using a syringe, an ag syringe is a way to get spot on as well. So, barring that, you could use one of these, but yes, you're absolutely right as far as that goes. Let's see here. Jeremy Espinoza says, the trick I found when spraying anything in the lawn is I use a metronome for the steps. I've not heard of that being done before, Jeremy, but I could see how it would make you, very methodical. Like each step is exactly on the same beat. I could see that being that being done. I've used metronomes for other things, but I've never used it in lawn care. So interesting. Interesting. That's a good point. Next up is Randall Lard. He's cool. He goes, by the way, I sold his spectacle flow I was talking about. I sold it all throughout my neighborhood. No storing it. I made my money back because I also applied it for them. Oh, nice. Cool. So yeah, there you go. So that's another option too. You know, getting versus storing and hanging on to it for years and years on end. You know, if you have other people that need it and want some, you can break it out, and that's a way to get everybody using a great product without having to break the bank. Have a bunch of stuff that you can't get rid of, right? So, all right. So we got a couple. I think I got your pictures now, Bill. I think they just came through with his project in the off season. Grass looks good, man. Let's see if I can get these to show up here. So I think what you're showing me is, he says, my San Diego Bermuda lawn isn't growing, but it's still nice and green. We really go dormant here. Time to reseal the driveway. So he's showing his lawn, so we can show this picture because he's also showing lawn in it, right? But why did I download two of the same thing? That's why, because it's actually a third picture. That's why I'm like, why is it not showing up? That's not right. All right, so here is Bill's project that he sent. So thing one, picture one, and picture two. Okay. So he redid his driveway, resealed his driveway, which looks really nice. You can tell you pressure washed it. Looks nice and green. And then another angle of the same work. So there and there. And then a picture that I believe he also sent us of his lawn, which is this guy in SoCal, which, yeah, I mean, it's definitely not dormant. I mean, it's not looking its best, right? But I mean, I think like any of us here in the Southeast would take that. I mean, yeah, you're in SoCal, and yes, your lawn is not like it's green. It's seen better days, but that, I mean, we would love to have that in Georgia right now. We don't have anything that looks like that. It's all like brown and dead, and you know, have folks with northern lawns emailing us saying, why does your grass turn dead? Why do you guys all have dead grass in the wintertime? Like those kind of questions. Like, at least you don't have that, which is kind of cool, right? So we would take it. Very cool that you're taking the time to get, you know, other stuff done, like resealing the driveway, which it came out really nice. That looks nice, Bill. So thanks for sharing that with us. Good stuff. All right, next up is LG. He says, I think I deserve half of Louis's t-shirt since I inspired his super chat. How LG, make that make sense? How does that make sense? How did you inspire his? Okay, so I guess you were doing the super chats and he did one, but he was going to ask the question about the 444 anyway, LG. I don't think that it was exactly the same thing. I mean, and then Mark Romano's like, yeah, cut the shirt up. No, you guys are terrible, man. What are you guys like, Solomon? Cut the baby in half. Only one of us can have it. Only one of us can have it. All right, next up is Jason Harrison. He says, I'm planning on having one Revolution 26 reel for scalping and the other one for main duty. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, Jason. I don't know that you would have one that's just dedicated just to scalping because having two, I mean, you may have one that you scalp with and then you send that one in to get sharpened up. But having like two sharp reels, like one you're mowing with and have another one on standby is that's a great idea. It's a good thing to have. You know, that way throughout the season, if you find, it's not cutting as good, you can always drop the fresh one in there and then send the other one out if you want to. It's just having multiple reels is a good idea. It's like having two mowers, right? With only having one mower. And Brian Hall, he says, good evening, Ron, and everyone in the live chat. Super cold here in Michigan. Oh, wrong button. Super cold here in Michigan. Still waiting for spring 2024. It's going to be a while for you guys. But look at this way. You guys got a national you guys got a championship, right? So that's good. You guys are happy about that, I'm sure, right? So there's something to be something to be happy about. And then next up we got LG. LG will recognize you. So LG celebrates 2 years, 24 months of membership. That's pretty awesome. So we, as far as a way to also support the channel, if you want, we have a channel membership that you can join. If you go to the main YouTube channel, you'll see a button there that says join, and you can say by how much you want to contribute to the channel every month. And LG's been doing it for 2 years now. So thank you so much, LG. We got to recognize that. Got to clap it up for you. Appreciate all the love and support. It really does mean a lot. Really means a lot. let's see how the poll's going, man. Have you guys you guys haven't finished up yet or anything, but you guys are still chugging away. So far, it looks like 0.75 is winning out from what I'm seeing, but there's still folks that are voting. So we'll keep that going for a little bit longer before we reveal the results. So Archie says, my height of cut for the season is between 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch, and the lawn size is 6,000 square feet. Nice. Nice. Yep, that's a good, again, for a smaller lawn, again, don't make me seem like I'm a Debbie Downer on like short, on really, going under 1/2 inch. I mean, I kind of am, but I'm just, I am against 1/2 inch, like under 1/2 inch heights of cut if you have a large lawn, because it's so much work during the summer. And I personally don't think the juice is worth the squeeze, but you got like, 6,000 square feet, a smaller lawn, and you want to, at least for part of the season anyway, keep the lawn really tight and have it really behave like a fairway where you can take a golf ball and just roll it on it. It kind of releases like a golf ball would. That's kind of cool. The color's not going to be as good. It's not going to stripe quite as nicely. But as far as like bragging rights and just for cool factor, I get it. And if you have a smaller lawn, sure, knock yourself out. I can see the appeal in that. A larger lawn, not so much though. All right. James says, how's this for an idea? Uh-oh, here we go. Let's pick someone you know on the street who needs lawn love. Let's adopt them and help them take care of weeds, to help weeds in their lawns for this year. I mean, maybe people ask. Here's the thing: you don't want to go out and be like, "Hey, man, I just was walking through the neighborhood, and I'm the guy up there with the really amazing lawn, the one, what do you guys always pause and look at and want to show this? Yeah, it's me." And your lawn obviously is not like that way, so. We're trying to do an adopt a lawn this year, and you want some help with like getting the weeds under control, getting your lawn in great shape. Happy to help out. And I don't know that that's really a great approach to take unless it's someone that is out there that's trying. If someone's out there, here's how you can tell, and we've all experienced this. So if whenever you go out to mow, they come out to mow, like they're doing this whole thing of like, oh, I hear a mower starting up, so I'm gonna go out and get my mower out and start mowing too. If you hear that. If the person's doing that, and also, and we've all experienced this, I think. So you're out there mowing your grass, you can almost feel like someone's looking at you, and if you look, and they're kind of giving you the look of like help me, just a little help, just a little something. They don't want to come out and bug you, but whenever you guys are both mowing your lawn, you make that eye contact. In that case, I think the window's open to go over and just chat it up, and be like, oh man, yeah, you see, you're mowing your grass, and you're making it look nice, and if you're wondering what I'm doing on my lawn, and you're happy to share any info I have, and I think in that case, it would be okay. When they've already demonstrated that they have got the lawn care bug. So when you're mowing, they're mowing. And when you're out mowing, every now and then you guys exchange a look of, yours is kind of like your lawn. You're for people in the live stream, yours is more like your lawn will never look as good as mine. It's kind of like a smug domination look. And their look is more like, please, kind sir, just a little help. I don't want to go through your trash and see what fertilizer you're using. Just a little help. If they're looking like that, and in that case, then you can go over and, share some advice. But I would not go over unsolicited and just try and start telling people, hey, your lawn kind of stinks. Let me help you fix it. I think that, because the fact is, if their lawn looks really bad, they might not care, because you may not realize this. And I was shocked about this too. And you guys it's going to be a bombshell for you. But the majority of people do not care about their grass. I know. I was shocked too when I found out. Most people are fine with doing the absolute bare minimum. And while we love what we do, for many people, this almost would seem like work, which, I don't get it. So I would make sure there's a window open where the person has already expressed some interest before you volunteer your services. But I think it's a great idea, James, in that scenario. If that criteria has been met, then yes, by all means, volunteer to offer guidance. But I would not walk over to someone with 6-inch grass that gets mowed once every 3 weeks and be like, hey man, I want to help you get your lawn looking better. They look at you, be like, do I look like I care about my grass? Like, I don't get, the HOA's not sending me letters. I'm good, man. See you. They'll say kick rocks or something. You don't want to have that. It'd be awkward. All right. Next up we have Brian Hall. He says, no, that's him we already sent that one. And I got your pictures, Bill. And then Mark Luna says, major lawn withdrawals. MLW is a thing, major lawn withdrawals. I got you, Mark, but it will be gone here soon. Don't you worry about it. We'll be out there in the lawn having a good time before you know it. Tom B says, hey, Ron, with your carbon program, why is it necessary to apply Essential G every month? Doesn't the charged carbon last forever in this, or is this more for the degrading of the other contents? Cheers. Yes, that's a good question, Tom. The reason why I do Essential G monthly is because the majority of what's in Essential G, while there is biochar, the majority of it is compost, reclaimed coffee grounds, and other nutrients. And those, unlike biochar, do degrade. They do go away over time. So that's why I do it monthly. Is it strictly necessary? No, but I like to do that, and the results that I get in my lawn and other people that do that, in many ways speak for themselves. So that's the reasoning behind it. Essential G is not 100% biochar product. It's a percentage of it is biochar, and the rest of it is, again, reclaimed coffee grounds, compost, humate, some silicon, and those are nutrients that it makes sense to replenish. And you're also adding organic material to your soil as well too, which is a good thing. So it's a way to add OM, add organic material to your soil profile, which in a bunch of ways improves the the quality of the grass you're able to grow. So that's why I recommend doing it. It's a good question. It's a good one, Tom. And you know what? I might get in trouble for this, but I think, Tom, that question is worthy of a shirt. What do you think? Now, don't tell LG because he's going to cuss me out or whatever. But if you are someone that wears a shirt whenever you're out mowing your grass, you, sir, will win a Greatness from the Ground Up shirt with the second question of the week. It's a really good one. Not one that I've been asked, at least not recently. So if you want one of these guys, send me an email here to my email address, which is ron@golfcourselawn.com, and say, hey, Ron, I won the Miramichi question of the week. How do I get a free shirt? And I will say, Tom, congratulations. Here's how you get your free shirt. And and that's that. And then you'll be all set to go. You'll have something cool to wear when you're out in the lawn, when you're out applying your Essential G, right? So great question, sir. Hope that helps. If you have anything else, any other follow-ups, feel free to reach out. All right, we got a super chat here. I get this one. I don't want to miss it, from Mr. Dan Lynch. Thank you so much, Dan.
Super chat.
Thank you so much, sir. I really do appreciate it. Thank you again, Dan, for your patience. I know we have that super sack that we're getting to you. So thank you for your patience with that. And again, I appreciate the super chat. The super chat, it really does mean a lot. All the love and support really does help. So let me scroll down now and find out where I left off. And our next up is Mr. Oliver Rittam. Oliver Rittam. He says, happy Friday, Ron and all. Out of all the things I did in 2023, I did not use plant growth regulator. Sacrilege. Just consistent mowing every 2 to 3 days. Looking forward to using PGR this season. Will be a game changer. It will be, Oliver. Literally, with growth regulator, with Primo Max, there is life before Primo and there's life after Primo. And if you like the way your lawn looked last year with just mowing every couple of days, you introduce this stuff, beautiful. It's going to be awesome, man. Like, what's going to come off as far as clippings are going to be, it's going to be like just dust. Hardly anything's going to come off the lawn. It's going to really slow down how quickly it grows. It's going to be denser. It's going to tighten up. I mean, there's really no negative to growth regulator other than you have to be out there a couple times a month spraying it. And if you're in a Friday night live stream about lawn care, being out there in your lawn twice a month spraying growth regulator or spraying anything on the lawn sounds like fun. So it's not really going to be much more work for you, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Actually, I know you're going to be pleasantly surprised with the results you get, the response you're going to get from the product. What I would tell you is, I'm trying to remember where in the country you are, is don't wait until the summertime to introduce Primo. On my lawn, I start using Primo in April, and then I'd continue it all the way until September, sometimes as late as October, depending on what the temperatures are like. But get it into the plant earlier in the season, and then every 2 weeks, just keep spraying it at half rate, and you're going to really like the results that you get. If you need some help or guidance with that, I am looking for our blog post on plant growth regulators, because it's a good one. It's been revised a couple of times and has all the tips that I think make it valuable. So it's about how plant growth regulation can make your lawn thicker and greener. And it features, surprise, surprise, Primo Max. It talks about what PGRs are, the benefits of them, how to mix them and spray them. And then this section down here with the split application rates is something that I added per request from a user. So this talks about not spraying it once per month, but spraying it every 2 weeks. And then this supplies the common rates for different grass types, for common grass types that you would use if you're spraying it every couple of weeks. So this is a short read, worth checking out if you haven't already. And again, if you like the way your lawn looked last year, you're going to love what Primo, what growth regulator will do for it. Plant growth regulator benefits. All right, cool. Yeah, man. So yeah, I think you'll enjoy that. Okay, next up is Dan Lynch. He says, I want to replace my spreader. Please give me your choice of the best spreader in general and the absolute best you would recommend if cost wasn't a factor. Huh. Here's the thing. I haven't used any of the super high dollar spreaders to be able to tell you if cost wasn't a factor. I can tell you the one that I like, which is the Earthway 2050p. Like, that's my jam. That's the spreader that I like and use. I like it so much that I bought it twice because I gave my old one to my neighbor, my buddy Alex. The 2050p is tough to beat. And you know why it's good, Dan? Is because it's a good prosumer grade spreader, meaning if you're out applying Headway or Celiprin G or Caravan G or any of the Lebanon fertilizers, like any of the fertilizers that we carry, like on the bag, there's going to be a calibration, a setting for the Earthway spreader. If you have a Scott spreader, one of these other ones that are, that are probably fine spreaders, but just are not that common, then you have to do, conversion charts. It's just kind of a hassle. So the 2050p is what I would go with. If money was no option, you're going to buy something. If you want something bigger, it's hard to say, man. I know Spiker, they say it makes a really good spreader. I think Lesco, like their big one, is a great spreader, but I've never used any of those personally to be able to tell you how they work. And they do take up more space than the Earthway. That's another thing with the Earthway 2050p. It's a holds a lot, and it just doesn't take a ton of space up in your garage, which is kind of cool. So this is the one that I would go with. I'll show you here in the chat. Actually, let me send it to you right now where you can find it. Let me see. So at Dan Lynch, this is the Earthway 2050p spreader. That is the one that I would use if I were you, because that's what I use. So if you go to Amazon, it looks like there's gonna be tons of different options, but yeah, this guy right here, 2050p. The only thing I will tell you with it, and I'm not sure if they've changed this, is you will want to, if you have some blue Loctite, get, whenever you take the spreader out of the box, because it comes pretty much assembled, right? You fold the handles up, and there's two wing nuts that hold the handle in place. On my older spreader, I think they used to use like Nylox. So the ones that had like an insert in the wing nut that kept it from like shaking or vibrating loose. The newer one, my example, doesn't have that. So get yourself some blue Loctite, put a drop of blue Loctite on each one of those wing nuts, cinch them down, and then you're good to go. The only other thing I'd say as far as a wear item on the spreader is there's a cotter pin that drives the whole thing. So it's a cotter pin that goes through the axle and one of the tires. I forget which one it is, but you want to have some cotter pins on hand, like some spare ones, and they're like, they're pennies to have those. So get some cotter pins and some blue Loctite, and then you've got a spreader that's pretty much going to run until you get tired of it. You know what I mean? So it's a great spreader. And again, the biggest benefit to it is that, like, if you go and buy a bag of fertilizer or buy, any of the stuff that we carry at the Golf Course Lawn Store, like you go to any, good example, if you go to shop and let's look at like Humic Max, right? Look at the Humic Max label. There is a calibration setting on there for Earthway. You might not be able to make it out. Let's look at this one here. See here, you don't see Scott's on there, but you do see, you see Earthway rotary. So if you want at the high rate of 0.9 pounds per thousand, which is not what I recommend, you could go with that setting. And if you want the rate that I do, which is 0.5 pound per thousand, then you go with that setting. And this is the same for Headway, for any of your professional grade products. There's going to be a setting for the Earthway spreader on the bag. So this is why I would highly recommend, if you're in the market for one, that's what I would go with. Sure, there's other ones out there, but that's the one I would say to go with. And I've recommended that to a lot of people. I've not had anyone write me back and say, this thing stinks, man. I really wish I had never gotten it. I've never heard that from anybody. So buy once, cry once, get that one, and go off and enjoy life. And just make things more simple, right? It's like one less thing. Like lawn care can be stressful as it is. Like having breakout, conversion charts is just kind of a hassle. It takes the fun out of lawn care, So just from reducing your stress and hassle factor, for that reason alone, I would pick one of those up. So I sent you the link there in the chat, and hopefully that gets you going. All right, next up we have James Smith. He says, come on, gang, 70 in the chat and only 48 likes. Let's get some likes in. We all know Ron sleeps better when he gets the more likes he gets. It is true. I mean, I am vain that way. You're not wrong, James. I mean, when I don't get as many likes as I think I could have gotten, I think about, what did I do wrong? I mean, was I not charismatic enough? Did I explain things well enough? What happened? Was the lighting? What was it? Why could they not hit the like button? What happened? So if you want me to sleep, sleep well, hit the like button. And I'm trying to think here, guys. I think that is, so next up we got Archie Amos saying, hey, I got a solution. Give all 3 of us a t-shirt, LOL. At some point throughout the season, Archie, it's pretty easy to win a shirt. If you ask a good question around, something having to do with Miramichi Green, I can normally swing getting you one. So we could probably make that happen throughout the season. You just have to just think about what a question you're going to ask for next week on Wednesday. Remember, next year's live stream is on Wednesday. And then you will be good to go. So guys and gals, as we are getting ready to sign off, again, I wanted to share the important, some points we got for you. So as far as the blog, we've had some new articles that have been put up. Some of them are relevant for right now, but other ones are just going to be, they'll be more relevant as the season goes on. If you want to get into leveling your lawn, a new blog post on how to level a bumpy lawn like a pro, 7 steps. And then a new article on armyworm control. We've done some updates to some of our others. There's also a new a blog post on lawn renovation 101. So it just talks about what the optimal time for renovating your lawn, the assessment process, getting a soil test done, and using that data to be able to drive how you're gonna go about the process. So I hope you guys get some value out of this one too. It was a fun write, and hopefully you guys will be a fun read as well. But yeah, there's lots of fresh content on the blog of the Golf Course Lawn Store. And again, the calendar, which is free, everyone likes free stuff, right, has been updated. So if you've not looked at it in a while, take a look at that. I'll link this in. This will be the pinned comment once the live stream is over. So if you guys are watching this later, just go to the live stream. You'll be able to see this. This is the pinned comment. So you guys can go through that and know what you should be working on, what you should be doing based on the time of year to create a lawn that your neighbors are absolutely going to envy. That's what we're about, right? Well, guys, gals, again, thank you so much for all the love and support. Thank you guys for the super chat war tonight. That really means a lot, helps out a lot. And if there's anything that I can help out with, don't hesitate to reach out. Brian, last few comments before we sign off. Brian Hall says, thanks for the live content, keeps me encouraged. 24 season, go Lions. Yeah, the Lions, they won a playoff game, man. That was pretty sweet. You guys, who do you guys knock out? The Rams, right? They knocked the Rams out. That's cool. That's cool. The city really needed that, so I'm glad that, the Lions won. We'll see. Maybe a Cinderella story. They might go all the way. Probably not, but anything can happen, right? Then they're still in it. And thank you so much, Craig and James. I'll pass it on to Lee as far as the 13th to 14th. And yeah, so again, guys, thank you guys so much. It really does mean a lot. You guys coming to hang out with me on Friday night. Have a great weekend. Stay warm. We'll be putting out Preemergent here soon, and we will talk next week, Wednesday. Have an amazing evening. Take care.